Well, finally, this looks like this might be the first weekly recap I will do where I will not be mostly complaining, so that is a great sign. But in this weekly recap, we're going to go over the good, the bad, and the in-between. Welcome to Mets Weekly, presented by Empire Sports Media.
On 3-2, Vader swings and misses, strike three. He struck him out. 5 Met pitchers combined for the second no-hitter in New York Mets history.
As I said earlier, this was a really good week for the New York Mets, going 5-0, sweeping both series that they had, the 2-game set with the Yankees and their 3 with the Miami Marlins. And let's start off with the Yankees series. We'll go in chronological order. This was a very big game for the Mets, the first matchup against the Yankees. It's very rare that you have a matchup this late in the year where both teams are in first place. There's a lot of hype going to the series because the Yankees have the best record in baseball and everybody wants to talk trash in New York and things like that. And the New York Mets, they really showed up as Taijuan Walker started the first game. It did not start off well as he gave up the home runs to Aaron Judge and Anthony Rizzo. And through the majority of the game, there was a lot of traffic on the bases, a lot of fly balls, hard hit balls, but Taijuan Walker was able to escape a ton of jams. Something he's done all year long, even though it doesn't look pretty, more times than not, he gets the job done as far as limiting a lot of run scoring. And then what was really interesting about this game is the way Buck managed the bullpen. He managed this game like it was a playoff game. And the atmosphere in Citi Field was like a playoff atmosphere. Everybody was really into it, and the stadium was packed. So he goes to Adam Ottavino to go an inning and 2/3. He tried to get 2 innings out of him, wasn't able to do it. After Adam Ottavino, he put a couple guys on. So Edwin Diaz came in for a multi-inning save, and he was good as ever. He did have the one error that really got me worried. I swear my Mets fandom flashed before my eyes. I had Luis Castillo flashbacks because if somehow the Mets lost this game, it would have just been, we've seen it for the rest of eternity. We see Diaz spiking that ball. But this is a different Edwin Diaz, and hopefully this is just a different Mets team in general. We're not going to be the lovable losers anymore. We're really trying to make a name for ourselves. And Edwin Diaz was money again. As all 4 outs, he got worse strikeouts, so another very impressive performance by Edwin Diaz. And then as far as the offense, the top of the order did a lot of the work. Starling Marte getting a couple hits, Francisco Lindor 2 hits, P. Alonso getting on base 4 times. Marquette had a tough game going 0 for 3, striking out a couple times. Eduardo Escobar hit a big home run in the first inning along with Starling Marte's home run that got the Mets to equal what Rizzo and Judge did at the top of the first. You also had Jeff McNeil get a really nice late RBI single, which made no sense. You really feel like they should have walked him and faced J.D. Davis, who went 0 for 3 in this game and struck out twice anyway. But Aaron Boone is not exactly the most strategic manager in the world. As far as the second game, this was a really crazy one. As speaking of crazy, Mad Max was on the mound on his birthday, and he was mad as ever, going the 7 innings, 5 hits, no runs, couple of walks. Very similar to Taijuan Walker, there were a lot of base runners. There were some pretty hard hit balls. There were some deep fly balls. But again, Max Scherzer, it doesn't matter the situation you put him in. Doesn't matter how many runners on. It doesn't even matter who he's facing, as he struck out Aaron Judge multiple times using a lot of different methods, using a lot of off-speed stuff, using the slider. It was really nice to see Max Scherzer really be a thinking and finesse pitcher out there on the mound, being a guy that is willing to change his game plan depending on the hitter. And I think that's something that is really key, and it's why Max Scherzer has been one of the best pitchers of this generation, because he's not a guy that's just out there throwing and says, oh, well, I have 100 and I have a really good break on my pitches. I'm just going to throw it and hope they miss. No, Max Scherzer actually thinking out there based on the hitter, selecting his pitches, making the best things happen, which is what you want from your pitchers. And then what you don't want from your pitchers is leadoff walks, which is exactly what David Pearson did in the 8th inning, facing Anthony Rizzo. Yes, the 4th ball was definitely a strike. And then the very next batter, Gleyber Torres, goes opposite field for a home run, and all of a sudden, the 2-0 Mets lead is a 2-2 ball game, and it's like, here we go again, because if it's not Ottavino and it's not Edwin Diaz, you can't really trust these other guys. And even though Peterson had done a nice job in the rotation for the majority of the season, these first couple bullpen outings since being moved out of the rotation this past week, they have not gone well. And in fact, David Pearson has been moved to AAA, and I believe the thinking behind it is to have him build up and be a starter. I guess they don't really want him to be a reliever right now. They would like to have him as an extra starter just in case, knock on wood, that there are no more injuries to this pitching rotation, especially with the impending return of Jacob deGrom this week. So after David Pearson made a mess, it was Seth Lugo in to clean it up, and this was one of the best performance, maybe the best performance actually, that we've seen from Seth Lugo all year long, as he goes in into 3rd, only giving up the 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. He had a really nice curveball, and he was getting it over for a strike. The biggest example is when he struck out Josh Donaldson. Because one of the things that was bothering Lugo was that he was not able to get that curveball over. And if he can, that's his best asset. So it was huge to see Seth Lugo pitch that well. And you really hope that he could be a key for this team going forward, because Drew Smith, we thought, would pitch with Lugo in this game, but he is on the injury list after a lat issue. On the offensive side, Pete Alonso hit an early home run, and then Francisco Lindor got an RBI single, and then Starling Marte with a huge walk-off in the bottom of the ninth following an Eduardo Escobar double. And Marte has just been absolutely amazing this season. We'll get into it more as we get into the Marlins series, but this guy has been fantastic this season. I am thrilled the Mets signed him, and you hope the contract continues to go this well, especially in years 3 and 4. Can't say enough good things about him. And what I like is that Starling Marte since 2014 has the most walk-off hits, so it's nice to know that the Mets have a guy where late in games you have a pretty good feeling that Starling Marte could come through in the big spot, that he is not fazed by the pressure. And if this is a team that is going to be in the postseason, you're going to need players like that are able to handle the big moment and handle it in New York. That's exactly what Starling Marte did. And we keep up the good as New York Mets win their first game against the Miami Marlins. Chris Bassett was on the mound. Definitely was not his best outing, giving up 6 hits. There were a lot of weak ground balls, no doubt. At one point, Chris Bassett was angry at the way that Jeremy Hefner and the Mets were having their defense set up. The 4 walks isn't what you want to see, but Chris Bassett is not one of those guys where even if he puts a lot of runners on, he just has really good resilience. He doesn't fold, and he comes through. And that's been probably the biggest key to the Mets' success this week, in my opinion, and what's been their success in all the month of July is how well their starting pitchers have pitched. Not only not allowing a lot of runs, but going deep into games. Even though Taijuan Walker, he didn't look like he was pitching that well, still went 6 innings. Max Scherzer 7 innings. And this outing, Chris Bassett goes 6 innings. And as we get to the other starters, the same thing happened with Carlos Carrasco the next game. So the fact that the Mets are getting these starting pitchers to go deep into games, it allows their bullpen to just set up where, okay, there are nights where since your starting pitcher was so deep into the game, you could get away with just using Ottavino and Diaz. And of course, the guy to follow up Chris Bassett was Adam Ottavino, who had a scoreless 7th inning. But then the Mets were able to get some big insurance runs, led by a huge home run by Brandon Nimmo. And he had a big game all in all, having 2 hits and 3 runs driven in. Starling Marte had another massive game as the Mets were going up against Sandy Alcantara, and Starling Marte had a beautiful RBI triple. He had a really impressive home run. Alcantara throws 98 up and away. Starling Marte goes right with it to right center field. So again, the guy has just been absolutely amazing in every aspect of the game. If you like batting average, hitting over 300. You like power, he has sneaky power, like that pitch to Alcantara, where every now and then Starling Marte would just rip it, and it's a no doubter. He's shown a really good glove, very strong arm, and he's stealing bases every now and then. He's a great base runner. So he's giving you every tool you could possibly ask for out of a player. Francisco Lindor also had a really good under-the-radar game as he drew 3 walks and got a hit. So him getting on base 4 times gave the Mets a lot of opportunities. Daniel Vogelbach was on 3 times. Jeff McNeil had a hit. Mark Canha had a hit. Escobar had a hit. So it was nice to see a lot of guys in the Mets offense getting involved. And Pete Alonso, in this game, he had no hits. And for the majority of the season, Pete Alonso has been the New York Mets' main source of offense. So even when Pete Alonso was having a bad game, which, I mean, he was amazing in the Yankees series and the Padres series, but even when Alonso has an off day, it's really good to see these other guys step up, because you don't want to be a team that is relying so much on one player to produce your offense. You want to see from top to bottom all these guys are contributing, so I really liked that from the Mets in this game. And we go to the next one. New York Mets win this game 4-0. Francisco Lindor, another big game. 3 hits. He drove in a couple of runs. J.D. Davis a pinch hit, home run. Jeff McNeil a home run. So the Mets used a bit of a long ball in this game. And Carlos Carrasco definitely gave them a very quality start, going 7 2/3. 4 hits, couple of walks, 7 strikeouts. And Seth Lugo followed another scoreless outing, going more than an inning and a third to be exact. So back-to-back good nights for Seth Lugo. That's exactly, like I said, it's what the Mets need, because you imagine they're going to add at least 1, I hope 2 relievers. The more the merrier, in my opinion. Trevor May should be back on Wednesday is the hope, and then we'll see what happens when Tyler McGill is ready. He will be in the bullpen, but that looks like it's not going to happen until sometime maybe late August, maybe even early September. So for the time being, with Drew Smith hurt and Buck not really using these other guys as much, he doesn't use Tommy Hunter. Joey Rodriguez, he shouldn't use. He's not really using Yohan Lopez, nor should he. So it's kind of come down to the point where Seth Lugo's got to be the guy to step up if it's not Ottavino and Diaz. And the Mets finish off with a bang as they win the last game of the series 9-3, and this was yet again another really big offensive game. They got 90 hits in total, they scored 9 runs, and they didn't hit a single home run. So it's good to see that on Saturday, the Mets hit all those home runs, and then on Sunday, they got a bunch of runs, but without any home runs. So that's another really nice thing you want your team to have. You don't want to just be home run or nothing, and you don't want to be a team that doesn't hit any home runs at all. It's always nice to have a good mix, have a team that could do both. And who didn't have a good game as this one? Nimmo had a hit and drove in a couple runs. Lindor, 3 hits. Alonso, a couple hits. Vogelbach, 2 hits. McNeil, 3 hits. Tyler Naquin drove in a run. Marcana, 3 hits. Guillermo, 2 hits. Even Patrick Mazeika had 2 hits. And New York Mets were going up against a really good starting pitcher in Pablo Lopez. So this wasn't a scrub. And to see the Mets offense perform like this on the last game of the series was very nice to see, sweeping a series and beating those annoying, pesky Marlins. So I was very happy to see that. And they get another easy series going up against the Washington Nationals. So I really like to see them keep it going. As far as my couple little nitpicks and just observations that I had throughout the course of the week, my main takeaway is J.D. Davis and how Buck Showalter has lost confidence in him, and I can't really blame him because J.D. Davis, prior to that pinch hit home run on Saturday, has been really, really bad lately. He's been striking out even more than usual, just not putting together quality at-bats, and it's gotten to the point now where you understand that you have Daniel Vogelbach playing every day. Tyler Naquin, he played twice in this series, and he also played really well. I'll get to him later. But we know that the big weakness with Vogelbach, and the same extent to Naquin, is that they struggle against left-handed pitching. And there have been multiple times where even late in the game, 8th inning, Daniel Vogelbach will face a lefty, and Buck Showalter will not go to J.D. Davis. So that shows you just the kind of feeling that Buck has. I mean, even Luis Guillorme batted for J.D. Davis at one point. So the confidence is just getting lower and lower. And I think that the New York Mets have got to address getting a right-handed bat, whether that's off the bench or to be the DH. Hopefully they're able to get a big full-time DH. My number one goal is to acquire JD Martinez and Christian Vasquez. That's the package I'm looking at right now. I think that's the direction the Mets want to go, because it looks like the Wilson Contreras asking price is sky high. David Robinson is not going to be cheap either. Everybody wants him. Everybody cues bullpen pitchers. So I think that Martinez and Vasquez are the package to look at. And JD Martinez, he's right-handed. He's amazing against lefties. So you don't have to worry about, oh, well, we need someone to substitute for Vogelbach. That would be the case. You could have JD Martinez out there all the time. I love the move that they made for Tyler Naquin. Let's get to him next. He had a few very nice swings in the Saturday game. Even though they're balls that didn't go out, he was getting barrels. He was hitting long, hard fly balls. That's all you want, really. I mean, Tyler Naquin has had a very solid season with Cincinnati. He's been good against right-handed pitching, been really good runners in scoring position for Cincinnati. So you hope that's something that could transfer over. And it was so refreshing on Sunday's game to have Tyler Naquin starting in right field compared to Travis Jankowski and Ender Inciarte and all these other outfielders the Mets have had in the past. Having a guy that could be in there, take quality at-bats, actually hit the ball and hit it well was very nice to see. And I think that was a very nice move that the Mets made. I'm thrilled that they got Tyler Naquin because it replaces Jankowski. Vogelbach took down Smith's spot. Now Naquin takes Jankowski's. The next thing is to get rid of J.D. Davis' spot. So getting that full bench is what the Mets need. The most exciting thing to look forward to this week is the trade deadline. That is going to be on Tuesday. So let's see who the Mets end up with. I feel like they will end up with at least one pretty big bat, whether that is Martinez or Contreras or maybe even Trey Mancini. We'll see what they end up doing, but we'll definitely be here to recap it all. Be sure to watch this channel all week long. Carson and Andrew have that daily content. They'll be live on Tuesday talking about the trade deadline and all the rumors and all the moves that are made. So make sure you guys are watching all that. You're going to Empire Sports Media for all your New York sports need, not just the New York Mets. I've been Frank About Sports. See you next week. Be safe, be smart, be healthy. Let's go Mets.